Welcome to this episode of the Founders Speak podcast in collaboration with Couchonomics with Arjun. Joining me on the yellow table today, and in a bit of a hurry because he's got a flight which he needs to catch, is Young. Young is a co-founder of an insurtech platform, if I might sort of call it that, right? Called ZA Tech. And actually, just to in terms of full disclosure, I'm well aware of ZA Tech, and actually I've spoken to a number of members of his team because of the work I do in the Middle East. So, Young, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome to the yellow table. Right. So, as much as you and I would want to get into the ZA Tech story, right, and we should, and now that we know each other, that conversation can happen. This is more about your personal journey as a co-founder, right, of a fintech or an insurtech, right? So let me start with a very simple open-ended question, right? Talk to me a little bit about how did you sort of kick this journey off, right? How did you decide you wanted to be a founder, right? Talk to me a little bit about the journey so far, right? But more interestingly, I'd be very keen to hear a couple of events and milestones, incidents which have happened over the journey, which has sort of shaped you into the founder you are, right? Because I think it'd be great for people to sort of learn from your experience, either if they already are a founder or they're actually kicking off. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ajun. I feel very thrilled to be called founders or co-founders because to me, my job is just to get my work done. That's the principle for every day of my life after joining Zhong'an. I was not intended to be a founder when I joined Zhong'an, but I think timing-wise, it was a great opportunity to make me become one. When I joined Zhong'an, they were at the corner of IPO in Hong Kong. And also because of that, we get exposure to overseas market. And we realized there is a great potential for us to grow to overseas, but not as an insurance company, as an insurtech. And within 3 months, the management make a decision that we are going to set up a holding company to cover overseas market. And we need some people who get a bit of familiarity with the international market. And we got 7 people at a time for the whole group. And we decided those 3 people need to be split into tech, bank, and life insurance companies in different places. So that was how and where I started my journey as a co-founder team.
All right. So, and how's the journey been so far?
We're experiencing up and downs, pretty similar with all the startups because we are only 5 years old. And the path to 5 years has been wonderful for us. But right now, we feel a bit of winter coming in.
Okay. So let me ask a question, right? So, and there's so many questions which are running through my mind. So I've had the fortune of sitting across I already about 15 founders in the last 2 days, right? It feels like a bit of a marathon, but it's a lot of fun, right? Because I'm hearing all you guys. You guys are a sort of unique in the fact that you spun out of a fairly well-established insurance company, right?
Yep.
So in a way, there is parenting available on day one, right? But at the same time, that introduces a certain level of complexity, challenges. There's always as they say, the yin and yang, and I don't mean the yang which is sitting across me in any of these situations. So let me try and put you on the spot. Being a founder now, even though let's call you were reluctant initially, or you never thought about being a founder, right? And you were more of a professional who then has had to reinvent himself as a founder. Talk to me about the founder journey from a perspective of establishing a startup within the frame of a larger enterprise, if I may call that.
I think the journey is very similar with the emergence of digital economies in China or any of the emerging markets. Everyone is opportunity driven. And it's a matter of how quickly you can be prepared and capture opportunity. And that opportunity might bring you success in the next 5 or 10 years. So that was the principle that we kept when seeing the opportunity and wanted to capture this opportunity, even though at the time we were not fully prepared. And then we have the privilege of working very closely with a lot of great companies where we learn from their founding teams. Like what are the lessons they learn and teach us how that we can set up entities, what kind of people we should recruit. And that was how that we met with Adrian and brought him on board at the very first place.
Right. So I'm going to put so that's very interesting, right? So you went out, you spoke to, other founders, other companies. Tell me the two or three things that, stand out as things that you learned
Sure.
and you had no idea of, or you had some idea of
Yeah.
prior to that.
So I won't mention too much details, but in China, we worked very closely with Alibaba, especially the senior management teams. We know how smart they are, how diligent they are, how aggressive they could be when they see the opportunities. And then after coming to Southeast Asia from 2017, we have the privilege to work very closely with the founders Grab, Carwell, Klook. So we monitor very closely, okay, how those founders work every day. I was a bit surprised that when I heard after setting up Grab for 8 years, Anthony Tan still worked more than 16 hours a day. I was like, if someone's as smart as him and with a big follower like him still need to work for 16 hours, nothing that I can complain. That sort of motivate me to work harder and push my boundaries. And I still remember whenever I caught up with Aaron, the founder of Caro. So every time I want to catch up with him, he will say, okay, come, let's take a walk. But when saying walk, it's a 10 km walk around, his house or home. And through that way, Aaron is very tall, like 190. So I need to take 2 steps to catch up 1 step of him. And I need to breathe and talk, whatever topics I want, because I try to form a partnership and learn from them. So those are the privileges that as a company we've had, or as an individual I had, of learning closely with other founders that I've worked with.
So work hard, be fit.
Be fit, I cannot comment on that. Not everyone's as fit as some of the founders.
All
yeah.
right. No, okay. So how many founders are you? Or how
How
many
many-
co-founders are you?
For this tech company, we have 5
Oh,
in
wow.
total. And now each of them are at different places with different markets.
Okay, so so 5 is actually quite a large number, right? In the sense that you don't find many startups which would have 5 co-founders.
Yep.
Usually they call it, 3 is a crowd, right? And the dynamics work out. So talk about the challenges of the dynamics, you co-founders would have had, because I'm assuming all of you came from different backgrounds, had, different sort of strengths, arguably different visions initially, right, which all had to come together. So talk about from that perspective, what were the learnings? How did you cope with it, right? How you guys all emerged the better, right, after that experience?
Yeah. I would say the structure of those 5 co-founders is 1 at the top, 4 beneath, at the very flat structure, and are responsible for different markets. So we're quite independent from day one. So everyone have a very clear boundary and a responsibility, and we were given very big flexibilities, even until now. So we can decide our own go-to-market strategies, even it could be very different from market to market. And we take responsibility for our own P&L, and we could be innovative as long as we have a strategy or a story that I can tell to the shareholder. And some of them work in the past few years, some of them that don't. All of those are very valuable learnings for us that we can carry forward. Especially now, I think for the whole tech industry, it's a bit of downturn. So we need to make sure that all learnings could be put into action very accurately and timely in, say, 1 or 2 months, so that we don't waste money, we don't waste time, and we make sure that we can thrive in the next cycle.
So you raise a very interesting point, right? So the whole industry is going through a downturn. You're right. I think, everybody needs to be more efficient, arguably more innovative, arguably faster at doing everything. And so the question is, so how does the collective engage? So how do you guys engage together? Because I would imagine the power of the 5 should make you guys more efficient, effective, faster, and so on and so forth. So as founders, how do you guys engage? Is it all very formal, or is it fairly informal? How does it work?
I would say for us, the informal ways actually play a bigger role compared with the formals, because we have less opportunities to really discuss formally on a big topic. It would take forever. But it's a very granular, informal catch-ups. We'll connect the dots and really learn from each other. At the whole company, I would say at this moment. So in the past 5 years, we split into different regions and develop ourselves. Right now, actually, we are collectively coming back together as a smaller team, like how we started at the very beginning, and drive the growth as a whole company.
Excellent. Last question. I know you gotta grab a flight, right? As I said, it's a fairly unique situation out of the 15 people we're meeting. I'm not saying you're unique in the sense there are lots of other startups which have sprung out of large businesses. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to set up and run one for 5 years myself, right? So I think I can relate slightly, but I did it alone. I didn't have any other co-founders, right? It was not across, well, we had several markets, but in any case, that doesn't matter what I did. What motivates you to keep coming every morning knowing that although you are a founder, but there is a mothership which sits on top of your business, right? Because I'm assuming what motivates you should be slightly different. At least I experienced it very differently.
Yep.
I'm very keen to hear your view.
So actually, my background is a software engineer. That I was supposed to be sitting on the back, doing my codings every day, but I was lucky enough to be given this opportunity. So that appreciation drove me for quite a long time up until now, and still driving me through. And I would say nobody should waste any opportunity where I see the industry I'm playing in, there is a big potential to grow. If no one really worked diligently every day to capture that opportunity, that would be a huge waste. So those are, I would say, two factors
I
driving
think
me.
there's a great essence. So before you leave, and I know we're time out, any other last thoughts in terms of what should new founders, wherever they are in their journey or their overall careers, should be cognizant about when starting a business, specifically in the middle of a downturn?
I would say from the beginning, I realized something is very important, but now it's more important is by learning how to say no. It's very tough, but
I
I
like that.
think the founders should learn how to say no.
That's great. Yang, you need to go. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much
Right.
for
I
having me.
wish Zeritech and you the very best. I think we should connect and we will have
course.
several conversations. As,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
I said, I've had the opportunity to speak to Adrian in the past.
Yep.
If you find yourself ever in my part of the world, which is the Middle East, drop me a line before you come. It'd be a pleasure to sort of sit down and have a longer conversation.
Will do.
Right.
Will do.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.